Again with part 2 of how to put Luna's ears in. We've obviously in part 1 made a single ear, and you were going to replicate that to make 2, and then pin them so that the lining is to the inside, the printed fabric is to the inside. Now the most critical thing is getting mirror images on your heads. So you've cut out 2 heads using the pattern piece. I'll move that out of the way. And what I want you to do is to flip one of the pieces over so that we've got 2 noses that are facing one another. And it's probably easiest whilst you're in the preparation stages to leave them in this position for as long as possible. So you take one of your ears and you're just going to position the ear so that the printed part is facing the nose. So I'm taking it over to the back of the head and I'm going to position the ear itself so that it sits with the top short edge just sitting along the back edge of that angle that you've cut. What you want to do is make sure that you're leaving a little gap at the back, because that is almost like a little sewing allowance. So hopefully you can see this. We've just got a small area of felt. We've then got the ear that's lined up to the angle that you've cut, and we've still got our pin in there. Try and move the pin head out of the way so that you can still grab it, because your next stage is to bring the top fabric of the head over to create a sandwich over the ear that you've inserted. And again there, you're looking for it to extend slightly over so that you've got a little bit of seam allowance. Once that's in place, you can put a pin in, and you can take out the pin that was in there, and I just tend to put it through the small seam allowance that's there. So the danger here is that the ear slips down, so watch out for that. But put that back down on the table in the way that it would have been lying before. You can see that the nose is still facing there. And then do the same thing with your second ear. So you turn it so that the printed part is facing the nose on this side. Pull the pin head so that it's out of the way and accessible for you to grab it. Find the back angle and place the ear so that the edge of it is sitting along that back edge. Make sure that you've got a small amount that you can still see of the head felt, and then bring over the top part of the head to enclose the ear. Again, make sure that you've got a little bit of seam allowance at the edge. And the great thing with felt is that it's stretchy. You can just pull it slightly if it doesn't feel like it's fitting. I've stretched that over slightly. And I'm just going to pin those in again. So I've done my seam allowance bit there. And then I'm going to go through all the thicknesses to keep that in place. So when I put them down again, they're looking like mirror images of one another. So you know at the end of it you'll have 2 heads that are right to put together. So the next stage I find easiest to do on the machine, but you could hand sew if you wanted. You're looking to create a seam that is 1/2 centimetre deep across this angle here. So I'm going to just put mine through my machine. If you were using hand sewing, I would recommend a back stitch and double thread, because obviously you've got quite a lot of thicknesses. So I'm putting this into the machine. It's got going through 4 thicknesses of felt. So I start off, go back on myself to reverse, and then I'm just coming across. You can see that I really do tend to leave my pins in when I'm sewing. If they're going perpendicular to the way you're sewing, that's all good. Come right off the edge and then reverse back. So you can see that I've created a 1/2 centimetre seam there on that. And if I just pull it through, you can see that we've got a fairly sticky up ear, and we've got a little gap in between, which is going to be good for sewing up the head. I'm going to do the same with the other side. So I'm popping it in and I'm going through at about 1/2 centimetre deep, coming off the end to do my reversing. And just make sure that the danger is that your ear slips down, you don't catch it in enough, and therefore when you do this, the ear comes out. So make sure it's sufficiently in. Okay, trim any ends off. Oops, I've got my pins all over the place. And then when you put them down again, you'll see that you've got two ears, two headpieces, that the noses are still facing each other. So when we get to the next stage, we can pick them up, put them together, and you've got the start of a head. All right. So the next stage, following on from that, would be, I tend to start at the back neck. I pop a couple of pins in. I'm looking to match up my ear seams like that. And remember here that we're sewing to the outside with a hand stitch, so there's no awkward turning through. Just get some pins in place, and from there you're going to sew from the back neck extension, this is seam allowance here, all the way round through the ear area, down the nose, and then on to the neck extension on the front. And that will be the point when your rabbit starts to be ready to be stuffed and starts looking like a rabbit head as well. Hope that shows how you do it. Thank you.